you guys deal with metaphorical fires as your job. Being human, running a business is hard enough. It by default requires a level of intensity. You do not get into business for yourself if you're not up for the intensity.
Hey, Justin, how are you today?
What's up, my friend, and welcome everyone to the All Things MSP podcast. My name is Justin Esgar, with OG host Eric Anthony, bring you all things MSP, because that's what the podcast is named, right, man? How are you?
I'm good. I was going to say it's a wonderful day outside, but it's really kind of dark and we got these storms coming, but whatever. We don't want to make this into another meteorological podcast. So
Right.
how are you?
I'm good. I'm here. I'm waiting for my lunch. I got really in the mood for wings today. I don't know why. I feel like as we're trying to figure out how to get the format together, maybe this could be like a all things MSP plus eating podcast. Because we always record like right around my lunchtime, and so I'm always sitting here watching my phone. If anyone ever watches the videos of this and sees like I look down for a minute, that's me looking at my phone, wondering if my doorbell's ringing while we're recording.
So how about this? You can order lunch. I'll pour a scotch, and then we'll do the podcast.
Yeah, that works for me. This is what we're doing as we figure out the format. But as always, we promise it'll be better next time. This episode is going to be great because we have an amazing guest. It's guest number 2. I'm super excited. This woman is a great friend of mine. I've known her for many, 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 many years. I'm just going to let her introduce herself. Ladies and gentlemen, please, while you're in your car, pull over safely, then give a round of applause for Miss Melanie Curtis. Melanie!
I'm giving myself a round of applause. Boom. I'm like, you mean I don't get to sit here and listen to you regale the world of my 25-minute bio that I'm like, what is it that I don't do? Team, thank you for having me.
You do a lot. You do a lot.
You do a lot of things.
So let's regale that 25-minute down to like a 2-3 sentence thing. Let everyone on the show who's listening know who you are, and then we'll get into why we brought you on the show.
Yeah, team, I'm thrilled to be here. I am a speaker, I am a coach, I am an author, I am a professional skydiver, I am a lover of people and all things that are personal and professional development. So yeah, Justin, I love our story. I think that's always a great place for people to start and get to know me, connected to you, Justin Fedora guy.
So, true story, I was looking for a work-life balance speaker for one of the ACES conferences, and I had known another gentleman named Peter Shankman. I emailed him and said, who should I talk to? And he said, you need to talk to Melanie Curtis. I said, okay, fine. So Melanie and I are emailing back and forth. She gives me her digits. Yeah. And then I called her up. And she's like, you're in my phone already as Justin the Fedora guy. And I was like, that's because I hacked your phone because I'm so good at what I do. But in reality, it took us a little while to figure out that we actually met like 5 years earlier at a conference in Las Vegas, and I happened to have been wearing, it's not actually a fedora, we figured out later it's a trilby, but whatever. And I was like throwing a party in my room, and I was inviting all these people from the conference, and Melanie happened to have been at that conference, and I gave her my phone number so she could figure out where our hotel was, and then she never showed up to the party.
That's not true. I was at the party. It was with Sweet John, our mutual friend. Yeah, totally was at the party. I didn't stay very long because I just didn't feel like it. But it's a great example of connecting, of networking, of like really, I was at that conference by myself. I was trying to meet people, and it's like totally a brave thing to do, I think, to go to a conference and also to show up in community and all kinds of respects, which I think is a really useful thing that you and I could talk about on this show. I mean, if it's all things MSP, leading your mastermind now just in the ACES community, it's a great example of how do we find community? How do we build relationships? How do we expand our networks? How do we find support as entrepreneurs, as business owners, as solo entrepreneurs, and all of those things? So yeah, I don't know where you want to take our conversation, but let's dive in.
I was actually just gonna. I was just going to shut up and let you just talk for 25 minutes and then come back at the end and go, Eric, what'd you think? And like, just and see what happens. Well, so let's talk about why we brought you on. So Eric and I brought you on because you are, yes, you are the coach for the ACES program which is my program. But we brought you on because you do a lot in professional development, and now you've met a lot of Apple-based MSP owners, so you can speak on this. What is something other than hiring you as a coach necessary for owners of MSPs to really like? What do we think like the breakthrough is? Like, I know I ask these silly questions like, what's the one thing, and it's never one thing, but like, what's the breakthrough for MSPs that they need to do in order to like get better?
Yeah, that is a huge question. And certainly there's not one single answer. And I think having the humility to understand that it can't be one answer is a big part of it, right? Really accepting and going, okay, what is it that I uniquely need? What is it that my business uniquely needs? And so there's this practice of self reflection and situational reflection that really is a necessary foundational, both functional skill as a business owner, but also an emotional and relational skill as well, because we grow, we evolve as people, our businesses grow and evolve. And so what we need at this year is going to be different than what we need in 5 years or in 1 year or potentially in 6 months. It really depends. And so, yes, other than hiring me as a coach, but why would someone hire me as a coach? They would hire me to be a teammate for them in this process, right? We open up spaces, conversational spaces where people can get support, where they can be asked in a very non-judgmental, emotionally safe environment these questions around self-reflection and situational reflection. Only from that inquiry, that safe inquiry, can we find our next steps. So like that's the thing about like what is it? What's the go-to be all? What's the answer for all MSPs? Well, it's that type of practice is what I would highlight the most.
I'm swooned with emotion just from hearing all that because
Hello.
because this is what I love about you, because like you're so articulate when it comes to talking about this stuff, and then we can joke around about like dumb-ish on the side, and it's a completely different thing, right?
Absolutely. That's another key skill, by the way. If you can't make fun of yourself, if you can't laugh at the comedy of being human and the ridiculousness and the extremity and intensity of being human, you are, can I swear on this podcast? You are effed.
Yeah.
Because seriously, life, being human, running a business is hard enough. It by default requires a level of intensity. You do not get into business for yourself if you are not up for the intensity. If you don't realize that that is required, that that's a default life experience being a business owner, you will be, it'll be a rude awakening. And likely people will be like, oh, I need to go back and I need to get a job. Right. So it's like reckoning with that intensity and then learning, how do I do it? Okay. Yeah. Hire my hashtag life coach, Mel. Fine. Emotional safety. And she makes me feel all warm inside. Fuck yeah. Cool. But also, oh, I need to have spaces for humor. I need to connect in community, what I was saying at the beginning, with people who let me make jokes, and know that that's not going to take away from my growth, but also know that that really is a part of how I sustain my business and myself.
I got an idea, Eric. For the All Things MSP Facebook group, we need to start doing IT Meme Mondays. Yes. As like a joke thing, right? Like yeah. post just pictures of, if you're listening to this and you have access to a computer right now, post as many clippy memes as possible to the All Things MSP Facebook group, found at facebook.com/groups and ATMSP, because I'm sure it'll piss Eric off as much as possible. But it's community. No. It's all about the community.
Well, and you're absolutely right that running a business is intense, period. Running a computer business, I mean, that's why Justin has no hair, right?
That's why he wears
That's
fedoras,
okay, Justin.
right?
Mine's
Or trilbies.
mine's going. Mine's going. But seriously though, especially with cybersecurity and all of those things that are happening, you know, we're dealing with some serious stress in this industry. In fact, you know, I'm involved heavily in CompTIA, and we're actually thinking about having a whole group that just talks about mental health because it's
Absolutely.
really becoming a serious problem for our industry.
It's totally understandable. Yeah. I mean, stress is not, we are not evolutionarily designed to be under chronic stress, whether it is emotional stress, situational stress, like we've been talking about. But yeah, you guys deal with metaphorical fires as your job. Like this is a high stress situation. I'm imagining that there are some things that are lower stress. I know I don't know everything about computers, obviously, even though I work with a lot of MSP clients, but still, it's something to really think about because I keep talking about it from the perspective of sustainability, but why do we get into business for ourselves in the first place? It's so that we can have freedom, so that we can make our own choices, set our own schedule, so we can see our families more, or go on vacation or whatever. And then a lot of times, what happens, and I certainly invite you both to weigh in on this, is that people then feel like they can't leave, that they spend every waking hour and I get it. One of my favorite quotes about entrepreneurship is entrepreneurs will work 80 hours a week so they don't have to work 40 hours a week. So there's something to, right? There's something to that freedom. So I'm not trying to diminish that value. It's a really high one. But everything has its yin and yang. And so that's what I invite people to consider is not that, oh, if you're working 80 hours a week, you're totally screwed and you're screwing it up and you're bound for a mushroom cloud or breakdown or whatever. Maybe, but we have to really think about this sustainability question. Why would there be a session or a community or a Slack channel on mental health? Because people are not thinking about how can I sustain this? Where am I going to get my breaks? Where is my soul being fueled with my time with my family or friendships or getting out into nature or whatever? It's not that I need to be hashtag life coach, fluffy, whatever, but these things are really hard topics that are so important if we want to sustain the original inspiration around why we got into business in the first place, whether it's that freedom piece or whether it's being in service to other people or whatever.
I think also, there's that expression, it's lonely at the top, right? And the problem for the listener base here is that all of the people who are listening, you're all owners of your business. You're at the top and it is lonely there, but it doesn't have to be, right? I think
Yeah.
that's what we're getting at, right? There's a community here, right here within the 4,000 people that are in the Facebook group, right here within the people that are listening to the podcast. If you're all listening to the podcast right now, just realize that someone else is also listening to the podcast. You guys are in this community. So while you are at the top of your game in your business at your company, you're not alone, and that's what we're here for. It also is a point of reference. We're talking about like time off and vacation. One, Melanie knows this story, but I actually haven't had like a real vacation due to a series of unfortunate events since like last August. It's been killing me, but I do get to take the time off because after recording this, I'm going downstairs and I'm prepping for the Esgar Supper Club, which Melanie got to beta test for me the other week.
I loved it. Paella.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. That was the paella.
Yes, that was the paella that I posted, the chicken treat. Today, just for anyone who's listening and they want to get mouthwatering, because I know we talk about food a lot on this podcast, sous vide filet mignon served with a red wine mushroom risotto, cheese and meat board to start, roasted carrots on the side, and I'm finishing it with a chocolate lava cake with a homemade French vanilla ice cream. Boom! Hashtag yummy.
So good. So good.
And
But that's what I
It's
do.
true though.
But that's my release,
What?
right? Like that's when I am like I can finish work and I don't need to worry about tickets. And luckily, none of my clients really work on the weekend, so I don't really have to worry about that stuff. And I can release all of that pressure of the week. I was up early because I had a client this morning at 7:15 in the morning texting me because PowerPoint, their documents won't open from Outlook because, Microsoft. So to get out of that, to get out of my head, to get out of tickets, and whilst I'll be sitting there in the kitchen working and I have my iPad and I have my phone and I'll be looking at Slack, there's nothing happening. I just look at it because of habit, but there's nothing happening. I don't really have to worry about it, and I should train myself to stop checking it. But that's for another session with my therapist.
It's hashtag mental health. I love
Hashtag
it.
mental health. Yeah.
I
Well,
love
and
it.
same here. I didn't take a vacation for the first 7 years of my business. 7 years.
Yeah.
Not a meaningful one anyway.
Yeah.
It's tough. It's tough for everybody. But I think what we're getting at, which, like I said, and Mel has brought this up, right? The community is here to help. That's what this show is about. Whether we're doing it from a mental health aspect or we're doing it from a technical aspect, the show is here to help you. And the people that we bring on, we've had great guests in the past. We have Melanie now. We're bringing on to allow us to be able to help you, and that's what this community is for, and that's what Melanie's talking about. Melanie always brings such a great energy too. I love talking to her because she always brings such a great energy to every phone call we do.
Oh, thank you, Justin. I mean, it's because when I'm in my honest zone of genius, when I'm here in service, I'm in my soul fuel state. I am probably going to butcher this quote, but it's one of my favorite quotes. It's something about it's not that you're doing too much of the wrong thing. It's that you're not doing enough of what lights your soul on fire. And so that can be hard when our job involves things that we don't necessarily love doing. Like, do I love sending emails? No, I really don't. I don't like sending emails. I don't like calling the IRS. I don't like doing all kinds of different things that my business requires me to do. I don't like reviewing my P&L, and I just don't like doing that. There's a lot of being a business owner that I don't really like. But what I ensure I do are these things that light my soul on fire. And for me, it's about connection. It's about human beings. I say this kind of very simply, that like my purpose is people. And it's just like, how am I being in service? How am I being an honest, authentic connection? And you brought this up, Justin, which I think is so important for any business owner, and certainly a solo entrepreneur in the MSP space, is when we realize we're not alone, it takes the steam out of that pot. It really, really does. I can tell you, as an early entrepreneur, listening to podcasts made so much difference for me, because I was like, oh, I'm not a complete loser because I feel lonely, because I feel like I'm screwing it up all the time, because I feel like I, quote, should know more because of whatever. I'm afraid for this reason or that reason. It's just really, really supportive. So we're in this space of contribution. So I'm lit up. And like, if I'm on a call with a client, I'm present with them. I want to be there. And so that's why you feel that energy coming from me. Because are there times when I'm not drooling watching Netflix? Yeah, those days exist.
What are you watching on
Those
Netflix
days exist
right
for
now?
all of us.
I'm just more curious. What are you watching on Netflix right now? I need something new to watch.
What am I watching? Well, I finally watched Station 11. Oh my God, so intense. So intense. It's basically about how a flu kills like all of humanity, and like a certain handful of people survive. It's so intense. And I'm also watching You, which is like about a stalker murderer. What is up with that? But normally I watch stuff like Next in Fashion or movies
Yeah,
that I've
I was
seen
like, that seems
before,
really dark
because
for somebody like you.
I know. I'm in this interestingly dark Netflix phase, but I'm also watching Next in Fashion because the creative expression, the art, just I love that stuff.
So, Justin, what are you watching right now?
I'm watching Taskmaster just came back. Season 15 just started. It's a British TV show, very fun to watch. Star Trek Picard, because hashtag nerd. And my wife and I still watch this. This is going to be a throwback. My wife and I still watch on MTV, there's a show called The Challenge, which started off as the Real World Road Rules Challenge 36 seasons ago.
Wow.
Oh my
And so we're
God.
still watching that. Yeah. Yeah, we still watch that.
Yeah.
It's what do they call that? Like, it's our vice.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
It's
totally.
horrible.
I mean,
speak.
Next
ahead.
Top Model had like 15 seasons, and I watched all of them. It was the same thing because of the art and the photo shoots. Oh, I love that stuff. Sorry, Eric, go ahead.
No, that's okay. But speaking of dark Netflix shows, has anybody watched The Consultant?
Oh, I
No.
heard about this.
It's good. It's very, very good.
Christoph Waltz,
I'll
right?
add it to the list. Add it to the list.
Yeah.
For those who are listening who are MSP owners, I'm sure you guys all have your own Plex setups. I'm sure you can connect it to Netflix and you can get it from there, or download or get it on watch it on Netflix Live. I think we're running low on time. So Melanie, real quick, where can people find you online who want to, like, I don't want to say get help, but like want to talk or
Yeah.
or have
Yeah,
want to engage in meaningful connection is what I'm looking for here.
absolutely. Yeah, melaniecurtis.com, MELANIECURTIS, melaniecurtis.com. That's my website. I'm most active on Instagram and LinkedIn for socials. I have a Facebook presence, but I'm trying to lean away from Facebook more and more. It's just like, But yeah, LinkedIn, Instagram, and feel free to write me directly at my website. I would welcome the outreach anytime.
And you have a podcast also, right?
Yeah, that's right. Gosh, thanks. See, you know more about my businesses than I do. Trustthejourney.today is my podcast. That's a much more heart-centered space. We're all about growth mindedness, spiritual seeking, and supporting each other through the practice of really sharing openly and honestly. So I have a lot of practice being really open in my sharing. So it might seem really easy to me, but it's because of that calling, that deeper calling to connection. And you can't really be truly connected if you're not truly self-expressed. And so that's why I would invite people into these communities that we've been talking about today, because sometimes that honest self-expression is just like, oh, I was really stressed today. How are you doing?
Right. And I know for a lot of you listeners that, like, you might think this is, like Mel said, fluffy clouds, foo-foo. Trust me, I've been working with Melanie for years now. I have people in the ACEs group or been working with Melanie for years. And this is the mindset thing is huge, and it will make you a better person. Melanie, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you as always. Eric, I think that's time we have to say goodbye now.
I know. And it's been so much fun today. So, yeah, Melanie, thank you very much for being here. Really do appreciate it. Justin, send us home.
This has been the All Things MSP podcast with your host, Justin Esgar, OG host, Eric Anthony, and special guest, Melanie Curtis. Feel free to reach us at facebook.com/group/allthingsmsp. Tell us what you want to hear about on the show. Technical questions, mental health questions, business questions, P&L questions. Why do we bring people on the way we bring people on? What kind of food is Justin about to eat for lunch? Ask whatever you want to ask. We'll maybe give you the answer. That's what we're here for. Don't forget to subscribe and like. We'll see you next time. Bye!
See ya.